Hello all. In this video, we shall discuss Indian foreign policy and COVID-19. The policy that India followed during the two waves of the pandemic, or India's diplomacy during two waves of the pandemic, has been different. If in the first wave it was about coordinating exports of COVID-19 medicines and flights to repatriate Indians abroad, that is the Vande Bharat mission. In the second wave, it has been more of exporting COVID vaccines worldwide under the Vaccine Maitri mission. We now look into the impact of the two COVID-19 waves on Indian diplomacy. So initially, India had donated ambulances to the neighboring countries like Bangladesh and Nepal. Then India also provided hydrochloroquine tablets to USA and many other nations. And it had also, sent almost 6 crore vaccines to smaller nations, and therefore the Vaccine Maitri mission had earned goodwill across the globe. Then during the second wave, the immediate need of the hour was to deal with the oxygen and medicine crisis, which claimed thousands of lives in our country in a very short span of time. During the first wave of the pandemic, it was more about bringing in remdesivir and favipiravir from the United States and Russia, while during the second wave it was about bringing new medications with respect to black fungus, as the previous ones had been dropped from the protocol. And despite of all these, we can say that the Ministry of External Affairs had completed the task of bringing in supplies in a timely manner and with success. What are the challenges that lie ahead for India? The first major challenge that lies ahead for India is that the shortage of vaccine in our country can be attributed to three factors. First factor is that the government had actually failed to plan and place procurement orders in time, and also the two Indian based manufacturing companies which manufactured vaccines could not produce the vaccine doses that they had committed to initially. And also thirdly, the Ministry of External Affairs had actually focused more on exporting vaccines rather than on importing them. So these are the three major factors which led to the shortage of vaccines in our country. Now, what is the Indian government doing? Indian government is basically looking up to the US to make up for this shortfall. Now, how is US supposed to do that? Basically, the Indian government is now requesting the US government to share a substantial portion of AstraZeneca doses and to release more vaccine ingredients to India. Okay, but the problem is that these ingredients which India is demanding is basically restricted for exports. Or what India can do is that they have to buy more stock directly from the US manufacturers to encourage the production of these vaccines in India. Now, the US government is basically holding up the export of AstraZeneca because it has to get clearance from its own United States Food and Drug Administration, and so therefore they are waiting for its approval. Now, even if the Indian government goes forward with buying the vaccine and its ingredients directly from the manufacturers, will have to make quick negotiations with these companies, because they are also set on getting an indemnity waiver from India as well as emergency use authorization prior to supplying them. Now, basically, the Indian government had made many relaxations for the Americans and other foreign manufacturers, like the need for conducting bridge trials prior to clearance and all of that. Though the Indian government had relaxed, these demands will need considerable backtracking from firmly held principles. Another major challenge which lies ahead for India is that now the government will have to make a U-turn from its publicly announced policy that states in India will have to negotiate their purchases directly. Okay. And it is also necessary that the vaccination goals be completed ahead of a possible third wave of the pandemic, and therefore the diplomats are now working really hard to tie up contracts with the companies abroad. Now, the third big challenge for Indian diplomacy is to manage the fallout of the vaccine collapse. Now, there are various countries in our neighborhood and also partners in Africa, as well as global agencies, which are depending on India for their vaccines. Now, because of the government's failure to balance its vaccine budget, these countries have been left in lurch. So, therefore, it is no big surprise that the neighbors have now sought help from China and US to complete their vaccination drives, and therefore one of the major challenges that the Ministry of External Affairs is going to face in the future is that making amends, because like I said, the fact that Indian government has not been able to supply vaccines as promised to its neighbors and other global agencies, it is necessary on the part of the Indian government to make amends, compensate, and also regain trust from the global agencies and our neighboring countries for India's vaccine and pharmacy exports, which are going to happen in the future. India, being a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council and an executive board member of the WHO, now India should raise its voice for a stronger convention to regulate any research that could lead to something as unpleasant as the current pandemic, and also should work hard to regain its footing that it had lost because of the mismanagement of the COVID-19 pandemic over the past few months, and should take a lead role in ensuring the world that it is protected from the next such pandemic. We now move on to the model question with respect to the topic that we have discussed so far. The model question for your practice is: analyze the impact of two COVID-19 waves on Indian diplomacy. What are the challenges that lies ahead for India to capture a leading position in the new global order? I hope you found this session valuable. If you liked the session, kindly do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.